Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton, and Alan Sachs is joining us today as our special guest. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and we are celebrating Aron Eisenberg. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing well.
Awesome. So, Alan, you seem to have a lot of awesome stuff to say. You sent us an email. We also all met you at various points in Vegas. Do you want to talk about Vegas first, or do you want to talk about your memories of Deep Space Nine and Nog?
I guess maybe we'll start with the documentary.
Oh, cool.
That I saw the documentary, the Fathom events. Was that in August? Or no, it was sometime over the summer, and kind of was just thinking about going. Kind of just at the last minute decided to go, and really glad I made it. It was just really exciting it's sort of like new. It basically was new Deep Space Nine after all these years, and the new the new HD footage was really incredible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, yeah, it's really nice, it's really incredible, but the DVDs are nice enough. But it was only a couple minutes of HD footage. It was really nice, but then I got the TNG Blu-rays that have been all up converted, and when you actually watch a full episode, it's just completely incredible experience, and that just swayed me to the other side. And now I think they have to do Deep Space Nine.
Totally. With those Dominion War battles and all that, oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's just watching one or two clips is good, but once you see like a full episode of Next Generation, there's episodes of Next Generation I've seen multiple times, and yet when you watch it in HD, there's things you haven't noticed. There's sort of character moments you just kind of are too subtle that just the full HD captures that you never saw on those old square TVs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I guess we can move into Aron, where I met him at his table at STLV this year. And
was that your first time going?
Yeah, this was my first time going.
Oh, no. That's awesome.
So, the thing is, I was kind of walking around a lot, just seeing what there is in the vendor room, and different actors, like they had lines, and then other days there was no line. Sometimes maybe after a panel, Brent Spiner's line was really long, and then the next day there was no line. But Aron's table was always crowded, always a group of people. He seemed to be always on, whereas I like to wait till the lines died down and I can spend a little bit more time talking to somebody. But it's just Aron's table was just crowded the whole weekend.
Do you remember that, Cirroc?
Yeah, well, that was a lot of his crew was there, and we were all supporting. Did you get a chance to talk to Aron while you were out in Vegas?
Yeah, so I sort of wandered past his table almost every day and didn't maybe stopped and didn't really say anything because there was just a big group of people, and I didn't want to. I wanted to kind of wait my turn, but then finally on the last day, the last hour of the last day, finally for the first time his table had no one, so I got a chance to talk to him and talk about how much I liked the documentary and how it was just great that 20 years later, it was basically like a new episode of Deep Space Nine, kind of the closest thing we get, because Next Generation got the movies, but unfortunately Voyager and Deep Space Nine didn't get a chance to do a movie. So, but this was kind of like their chance to do that. So it was, and actually I missed the Ferengi family panel. So it's on YouTube now, so I've seen it since. And so I told Aron about how I didn't like how they killed off his character, and he was kind of being modest, and I'm sure everyone brought up the same point, and especially people that went to the Ferengi family panel. So I kind of didn't realize I was just saying the same thing that everybody else was saying, but
he
but
was transported out at the last second. That's canon. It's fine.
yeah, but my point is I'm a big fan of Ron Moore, his version of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah.
And that sort of came about because Ron Moore wrote for
Space
TNG,
Nine?
Deep Space Nine, in like one Voyager episode.
Yeah.
But his whole thing was there's all these rules with Star Trek where there's certain things you can do, certain things you can't do, and when he went to Battlestar Galactica, he just threw out the rule book and he could do whatever he wants. And part of that was
first episode was Starbuck punching her superior officer in the face while they're all drunk. Yeah, can't do that on Star Trek.
Yeah, so that's what I was telling Aaron was that that's normally they wouldn't be able to kill off a main character like Nog, but so that's the type of thing Ron Moore could do on Battlestar Galactica. And now that the 8th season, they could do whatever they want. There's no studio, there's no Paramount, there's no anyone. So that's what I was telling Aaron is that that they could kind of do whatever they wanted because this wasn't a real season 8.
Mm-hmm. You brought up the movies, and that is something that we've always kind of clamored for as a Deep Space Nine movie. Even if we could get like a movie that combined Voyager and Deep Space Nine. Can you imagine the crews of Voyager and Deep Space Nine combined into one movie, kind of like Generations did with original series and Next Generation? I mean, that would be cool, right? Even just sharing a movie we'd be happy with.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I think Rick Berman was planning on doing that very idea, but they decided to go with J.J. Abrams instead.
Hey, I mean...
Yeah, well.
What was your conversation with Aaron like? What was he saying to you about different things?
He was just kind of agreeing with me that he didn't like it, and I also it was the last hour of the last day, so he was talking about the traffic going home and how it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
Those of you leaving Vegas next year, do not leave on Sunday night. Wait till Monday. Man, it's hell.
Yeah, everybody's fleeing Vegas on Sunday night, so especially coming back to LA, it's not the funnest thing.
So, Alan, rewinding a little bit, when you first started watching Deep Space Nine back in the day, what did you think of Nog's character? Did you love him? Did you hate him? Did it kind of take a while to grow on you?
No, I mean, I liked his character because it was interesting. It wasn't like, I like TNG, but sort of on TNG, everyone's perfect and everyone gets along. And this was definitely something different because what I really liked is how Jake and Nog were just very interesting characters, unlike Wesley Crusher, who was perfect at everything, and Wesley Crusher, who saved the day, which makes you wonder why would you go to Starfleet Academy if this kid could just outsmart everyone. But that's what I really liked about Jake and Nog was that they were real characters and they weren't perfect. And
yeah, that's a good point. Cirroc, what would you have thought? Would you have enjoyed it if they made you more of a Wesley Crusher character, where there are like a dozen episodes in the first season where you're like saving the day, where they're like, what do we do? And they're like, Jake's got the answer. And you come in and you save the station.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought it. And I don't think it would have been realistic for me to be doing that. Especially on our ship with as many leaders as you have on our show, right? There's so many people that are experienced and show leadership qualities. So for them to turn around and say, hey, me giving Quark advice on, hey, you know what, I think you should do this, your profits would go up 30%. I just don't see it, I don't see it happening, and I'm glad that they didn't play it that way. When they wrote the character for me originally, the thing that they highlighted was that he was a army brat. They called me an army brat that grew up on, from one station to the next. So that was the input that I received. and actually several times remember people saying, "Don't be like Crusher," don't be like Wesley Crusher.
And you're like, easy.
And I'm like, I didn't know enough about him to know whether I was going to be like him or not. So it wasn't really an issue there for me,
Yeah.
I wasn't shooting to be like anybody. I was just doing my own thing. So, but the writers obviously knew what they were talking about and what they wanted to stay away from. Essentially, the problem solving, and being the guy with the answer for everything. that wasn't really something that they were thinking about going in the direction of my character.
Hey, Alan, did you have a favorite Nog or Nog and Jake episode or moment? Something where you really liked it when you first saw it, or you go back and you say that's the epitome of Nog or Jake and Nog?
I'd say, yeah, I definitely. I definitely have a moment. I think it was the episode "The Great Material Continuum," where Jake's trying to buy his father a baseball card, and
cool.
That's the episode where they're going back to the scene in Star Trek First Contact, where Patrick Stewart's explaining how the economics of the future are different. We don't have money. They're not it's not the driving force in our lives anymore. So Jake is sort of paraphrasing that to Nog to explain about how we have this philosophy and we don't need money. But he's asking Nog to borrow money to buy this baseball card for his father. And Nog saying, "I don't understand your philosophy, but if you don't need money, you don't need my money." And then Cirroc says, "Hey, don't criticize our philosophy. We work to better ourselves and better all humanity." I just think that that's kind of just a perfect Star Trek moment where it's talking about the optimism of the future, and yet it's also a perfect Deep Space Nine moment because we're comparing Jake, who who's living the human, humans in the 24th century life, versus the Ferengi, which is, that's what Deep Space Nine was about, is because we'd already seen Starfleet and, starships. So Deep Space Nine was about what Starfleet and the Ferengi, or Starfleet and the Bajorans, or Starfleet and so Deep Space Nine is about sort of a more realistic picture. So I really, really enjoyed that moment. It was a really funny moment, but it was also sort of a poignant moment about the message of Star Trek.
Do you remember that episode at all, Cirroc?
I do remember the episode. I don't remember that specific moment that you're describing in the episode, where you say that I describe, the philosophy of Starfleet.
What season is that, by the way?
Actually, there's a YouTube sort of compilation about it where I don't know if it's in the same episode or not, but or no, I think it's there's kind of a YouTube comp. It's either 6 or 7, I think.
Okay, so we'll see it soon, Cirroc.
But there's another great clip of Cirroc where he's telling Quark, I just sold my first novel, or I sold my first story, and Quark's all excited. He's like, "How much did you make?" And Jake says it's a figure of speech. So Quark says, "Well, I'll buy you a drink." And then Jake says, "Really?" And Quark says, "No, it's a figure of speech."
Yeah, that's funny.
That's a good one.
Alan, now changing gears to Aron as a person, more so than Nog as a character, is there anything in particular that you remember about Aron, or that you think will be part of his legacy as he lives on, whether it's his acting skill, or whether it was his presence online, or meeting him in Vegas, or what do you think?
I think just this sort of Aron, sort of everybody knows him and loves him from the show, but just he sort of had a whole second career in Star Trek with going to conventions, and the fans always loved him, and everybody sort of had an Aron a moment at the conventions. So I think, because I guess I won't name names, but there was one actor at the Vegas convention that I was in the elevator with, so I was just saying hi and exchanging a few words, and then he just couldn't be bothered. And
Cirroc, do you want to take this moment to apologize?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Alan. I was really
no, but some
thinking about
actors,
other things.
some actors are really outgoing and really embrace the fans, and Aron was probably the most of, because I met several actors. I met Cirroc, I met Jonathan Frakes, I met Brent Spiner, and they were all nice, but Aron sort of took it to the next level where he just really connected with the fans, and like I said, his table was always, there was always a crowd at his table, whereas, you know, even Brent Spiner, there were moments where his table had no line and nothing, and
that's why they call him Brent Spiner no liner, right? They call him that?
Yeah. Is that what they call him?
Probably not.
No, but Aron was, I mean, he did have like a little social gathering around his table. There was always people talking and a little huddle. The only other person I can think of who always has that kind of going on is Garrett. Garrett always has a little huddle of people, you know, making these discussions, having these conversations, carrying on. So yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you make personal relationships with people, and you know, and feel comfortable with you. And Aron did his best to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I kind of been thinking about coming to Star Trek Las Vegas for the last couple of years, but I'm glad I actually made it this year for the first time, because otherwise I would have missed Aron. And you know, because you always think, you always think
you're going to see somebody another time. Yeah, I'll see you next time. I mean, that's how we thought of Aron. We thought we would see him the next day. So it was like, you know, that's how fragile each moment is. But we all were happy and fortunate to be a part of that convention at STLV this last year. It was a real farewell party to Aron. We didn't know it, but at the time, but it was our last really hoorah together.
That's a good point. It was like a farewell party to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I made it out there, that you made it out there. We all were able to have our special moment with him.
Now, Alan, we've got about 1 minute left. Thanks for joining us. Is there any final thought or observation, whether it's Nog or Aron or anything in between, that you'd like to throw out there?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you and Cirroc and Aron for just making me feel welcome at the convention. It was my first time. And also, I was watching your podcast leading up to the convention. You had a lot of episodes on YouTube leading up to the convention. So just like to thank you for that, and thank you for just making it a great convention.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Alan. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks
man.
for watching.
Thank
you. All right, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
And we will hopefully see you at the next one, and all of you at the next one, of course. Until then, until next time, I should say, enjoy the 7th rule, and remember it.